Cracking everyone, it's Justin. So, I think that I am ready to give up this particular endeavor in terms of live streaming. I'm still going to be making games. That is the dream. All those things are true. But the live stream is just not doing anything, you know. And part of that is because I won't share it enough. But then again, I do think I share enough to where, because I'm going to share all of this in just a second. But I just go ahead and do this real quick too. Shout out to Watch Me Work Network. It's amazing stuff over there. What's going on, Watch Me Work? You guys are awesome. Truly. But yeah, or at least maybe not doing it the way I've been doing it. I don't know. Oh, let me do this to make sure my volume is down. That was an issue last week. I get some bad audio, and then that's not good. Hashtag indie. Hashtag indie. Dev. Hashtag. Oops. Hashtag. Hashtag dumb. Okay. Bam. Okay. So anyway, why is this more than likely my last stream? Well, my schedule is changing. And I realized that my intentions have not been pure in terms of the streaming. What does that mean? That means that though I've been trying to get the game out and into the public sphere and all that stuff, I haven't been doing it to share. I've been more doing it to, I don't know, get lucky and get some attention on it, and then maybe that can go into sales, and then maybe that could, you know, basically is more for the possibility of financial gain. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's something wrong with that when it's me. I have never done things well just for the money. Even if I was in dire need of it or whatever it is, I just don't do things well for money. I don't. I've never had that be a motivating factor. It can seem that way as a factor of desperation, but if I were to draw in money or whatever it is, it'd be more for, like, you know, my own ego or for fun or for service or for anything like that. It wouldn't be for anything for survival or anything like that. Maybe I'm weird, but that's just not what it is with me. And because this whole thing has just been kind of shrouded in that or in the shadow of that, it's just not going to take off. You know what I mean? It's just not going to. So that's why I am calling it quits for the stream, because, you know, why am I doing this? Well, to get attention for a release. Well, why do you want that? No attention for a release. Well, and then, like, it always goes back into, well, maybe it might, you know, draw sales to the game and, you know, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, there are bigger purposes for sharing release than just that. I'm selling the entire project short. If it's just another, you know, game, then, you know, I could see that. Release is not just another game. It's not. Release is something different and something special. It is a love letter to God, displaying more of Him and Him working in impossible circumstances through people he, quote unquote, shouldn't use. That's what it is. It's revealing more about who he is. And I love sharing about who he is. I absolutely love that. I can't get enough of sharing who he is. I think that God is amazing. You know, I've walked with the Lord for a while now, and he's never steered me wrong, and he'd just be so many steps ahead of me in terms of what I was going to do next, and just knows my heart so well, and you know, he's just the ultimate father. And I guess it sucks that I have devolved this project into it being about raising capital or whatever else, that I didn't let him do more with it that he wanted to do with it. And that I didn't allow him to bless me with whatever it is the other things that he wanted to bless me with, because I was I don't know, I guess being pig-headed, being something, but or depending on my own ingenuities or own, you know, if it's gonna be a project like that, the way I said that it is, you know, I need to be leaning in on him. That's being obedient with it and doing things that makes sense to between me and him, rather than it being between like a business kind of sense or whatever it is. This is all business. This is all like, you know, I think it'd be a good idea to get ideas on release. And it's like, well, is it? You know? Is it? I don't know. So that's why, until my intentions have become abundantly clear, I actually have a real why as to why I'm doing this. It'd be one thing if people were watching, you know what I'm saying? But no one's really watching. And even if it was like one person that was like for real faithfully watching, you know what I'm saying? And okay, and I don't mean to discredit my YouTube following and everything. I have the 12, which is Zayden and Jesus started with. I have the 12. But you know, I talk about your low numbers because I don't care. Why is everyone trying to false flex all the time? Jeez, stop false flexing. You don't have that many subscribers, you pay for them. You know what I'm saying? You have that many subscribers because your content is awesome, or because you do giveaways. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you really own that car, or does the bank own it? Stop making payments, and I'll let you know who actually owns what. So for real, like, just stop false flexing. You know? But all these different techniques out here to get more views and get more followers. You know, why do I want people to view my content? You know? And if I'm going to sit there and preach at people like I usually do, there's other ways of doing that. You know, I have a ton of videos and a lot of hours, you know, on this channel now. And that's cool. I want to document the process. The entire process of Black Simulator was documented. And kind of the tail end of this process has been documented, but probably just need to document it every week. For what? The views? You know, I'm doing inauthentic things between me and God, and I need to stop. That's just the bottom line. So, on that note, let's make a few moves here, and after that, I'll be signing out. C'est la vie, for the final time. Yeah. Anyway, okay, here we go. Hater-rater. Chill. See what popped up down here on the YouTubes. Nope. Spelling that all wrong. It's what is this hater? What do haters do? What else do haters do, boys and girls? Yeah. My man Johnny C. We might call that rap for that. The Witch Doctor. I don't know what the Witch Doctor would do. Witch Doctor, yeah. Let's do. What was a witch in the first place? Let's see. Just a second, guys. Oh, okay. darn it. Defense down, doggone it. Alright. Who is this? Oh. There we go. What is going on? David McKay, aka Vierix Dreamcore, live and in concert. Glory be to God. Anyway, what's going on, homie? So, I was telling the good imaginary people. No, I was telling the good people that this is probably gonna be my last stream because I feel my spirit, man, that I'm not doing this for the right reason, and that I'm trying to treat this like a typical game when it's not a typical game. So I'm gonna have to like rethink what I'm doing here, because number one, it's a time commitment, you know what I'm saying, and I want to make sure I'm using my time to the best of my ability, and I'm also thinking about, well, my schedule is changing too, so I won't be able to even do it at this time anymore. But I'm just thinking about how to put it. I'm just kind of thinking about, like, yeah, I'm doing this thing because it's supposed to be a good idea, rather than it being an actual good idea. Like, a lot of times I'm not gonna put the time and effort to, like, you know, put clips together or whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? This is not a focus of mine. Really, it really isn't. Because I'm only doing this because it would be a good idea to get release, you know, there's more eyes on it and things like that, you know, drive sales, you know what I'm saying? That's all very technical, but I don't do well with doing things just for the sake of doing them, or just doing them because of money, or because of potential money, you know. I just don't. I don't. That's been proven. That's been made abundantly clear here in the past year. So, if you had to press me and be like, hey, why are you doing this? Because why is your most important thing? I couldn't really tell you. I can only tell you that it's supposed to be a good idea to get eyes on the project you're looking at. But if I'm not willing to put in the ad dollars or whatever, then what the flap am I doing? You know? Doesn't make any sense. So and you know, the viewership has never really gone up or down or whatever, you know, even though I'll be sharing it. But then again, though, maybe I'm not sharing on the right platforms, whatever. That's all debatable. But I gotta figure out the reason why I'm actually doing this in the first place. So none of the content seems to be share worthy of even with the folks who actually are watching it. So if it's not share worthy, or people aren't excited about it, then again I ask, why? Yeah, like, I know if I wanted a huge budget for release, I know how to get it now. You know, I've learned a lot about business, about loans, about what you need to have in order to go into a bank to pretty much get what you need. I know a lot about that stuff now. You know? There's no reason for me to approach it in this kind of way anymore. You know, if I wanted a huge, ridiculous budget for a release and everything, you know, I can get it within a year. Because people don't ask, because what you need is you need a team of people around you who are going to be there to who are going to be experienced and knowledgeable, who are going to be millionaires or whatever it is, you know, be very successful in their fields. You need that as a board. Once you have that as a board, you can go in there with some actual clout saying that, you know, these are the people, this is my team around me, etc., etc. But do I need a business plan? No, you don't need a business plan. Not then and there. And you just tell the Mr. Banker, Mr. Banker, this is all Dan Pena stuff. Mr. Banker, I don't want to waste your time. You waste my time, you know, so therefore you don't need a business plan right now because it's going to change. It's all BS anyway. So let me talk to some people that you have successfully financed, and I'll get the business plan from them. You know? So dealing with monopoly, and still dealing with wishes and things like that, you know what I'm saying? No, actually put together the things, you know? See what you guys are going to put together, you know, with the loan officer or whoever. But you need all that type of stuff, you know, need the right people around you in order to actually build the clout, because you need to borrow other people's credibility. Make sure that they're all local as well, because it's going to be easier for everyone to get together in a local setting rather than actually going out all over the doggone internet. So just need to be productive and focus in those board meetings that you're going to be having. It's like, well, I don't know if someone wants to, you know, do that because, you know, they're a millionaire and I'm way down here. There's like, no. They're waiting for you to get in contact with them, because everyone's self-image is so low, they don't think that they can actually get that that kind of clout together. And a lot of people are looking for mentees to pass down their information. That's what they're looking for. So, you know, that's how you play the game. No pun intended. Let's see what you say here. What is the form for getting people's eyes on the game? How silly mobile games so big. It goes down to, I think, same thing that it always goes down to, which is what do you call it? Nepotism. You know, this is why, once again, people in that field that you're trying to go into, knowing those people are so important. Like, I've got people that I know. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's not in the right field, because my field is pretty much unknown. But it's important to, you know, to communicate, to talk. If you have communication with people, you know, then you need to do that. And the thing is, once again, if you borrow someone else's credibility, then that means that you have more connections at your disposal if they agree to help you. You know, take them out to lunch. You know, I mean, they know, you know, they can pay for it, but, you know, you want to make it as easy for them as possible, and you want to have a connection with them outside of business as well. You know, so that's why, you know, getting people in your field is going to be good, because you have games or whatever in common. Even if it's something that, as simple as golf, if you have that in common, you go ahead and, you know, and build a relationship with that. So those mobile games, you know, are backed by huge corporations like oh gosh, who owns Epic Games? Someone else who owns Epic Games, and they think they're either a Korean or Asian-based thing. And they're a multi-billion-dollar company. You know, like, they're massive. You hear me? Massive. They can eat Steam's lunch for breakfast. You know what I'm saying? Or Valve's lunch for breakfast. They're these massive corporations, you know, and that's why they get so as popular as they do, because they have the publishing power, you know. But they started out the same way that anyone else starts out, with a few people in their boards, with a few investors, and they just kind of go from there. And they use all that credibility, and just keep on expanding to the point where, you know, they can release whatever they want, get it in front of the right people, get it in front of the right reviewers, get it in front of, you know what I'm saying? They just keep on calling in favors, and then they have the money to back it up, and then you can't really stop them then, you know? And that's how these corporations and these companies are built. So because I understand those things now, I can duplicate that process, but it's not about knowing it, it's about the actual action to do it, and having the nerve to do it. So people a lot of times want to say that, well, I don't know how, and then I'm like, you got YouTube and you got all these mentors and people that are out there telling you all this information. It's not about the information, it's about the nerve to actually do it, you know? So that's really what everyone needs to work on, is working on their nerve to actually go out there and do it. Yeah, all those mobile games are by Tencent. I forgot what that is about. Yeah, all that stuff. It's just money, connections, it's just phone calls from people who are big investors who want to make money, who whatever. That's all that stuff actually is. No one cares about it. It's just a matter of this game with this aesthetic, with this music, with this whatever is going to make money because it attacks this part of the brain, blah 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 blah. It's going to make a ton of money, and that's what people are. That's how they pitch it to the people, to the investors and to the boards and things like that. So that's all that actually is. You know, no one's trying to change the world. They're just trying to make the money, and God bless them for that. Put money into the economy. Yeah, that's it. Tencent. Yep. Tencent owns Epic Games. They bought them. That lets you know how big Tencent actually is. You know, the Epic Game Store, that's really Tencent. Okay? So they are massive. Massive. I can't overstate how massive they are. Look them up online in terms of how much money they actually bring in and everything. So it's just about communication and connections, man. That's all. That's the whole game right there. That's how they make that stuff. That's the whole game. If you can do those things, you win. So I can yeah. Look it up. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I want to do. I want to have conversations, you know. I want to have it's not so much the game development side of it or whatever, you know. It's just more like just having conversations about the industry or whatever, or how to raise money and the practical stuff, you know, how to not be a freaking starving artist. That's what I'm really interested in right now. Because you just need to read, you know, my nerd brethren just need to start reading books. You know, like real books, like Magic of Thinking Big, The Go-Getter, How to Win Friends and Influence People, all these communication books, because, you know, that's one of the things that my nerd homies have a tough time with, is communication and connecting with people, you know. So people say that, you know, that's why you live in your mother's basement or whatever it is, or attic or wherever, you know, is because unfortunately a lot of gamers can very easily slip into the gaming world to the point where they forget how to actually communicate with people, with actual people, because they can escape all the time. And once they keep on escaping, you know, they don't have to confront the things that they have to deal with. And because they don't confront the things they have to deal with, they lack the communication skills. And because they lack the communication skills, they can't find work. And because they can't find work, they're living in the Van Alberta River. See what I'm saying? Like, it's a cycle. So the thing that I want to do with release, I want to add value, actual values to games. You know, rather than it being exactly what it is. It is indeed, sorry, but it is a waste of time. It's fun, but you can't really tell me practical use for a video game. You can't even tell me practical use for a Little League game. You know, it's like, okay, maybe it's good exercise and things like that, you know, but at the same time too, you know, like, there are better ways to be using your time. Now, if you want to do that for relaxation and things like that after a hard day's work and everything, you know, I understand that. Have fun, God invented fun. But to be doing it for a long, long time, I'm just like, well, I'm going to be doing that, you know what I'm saying? You'll feel better about yourself from winning in life than winning necessarily in the game. Because that's what people are really chasing after. They're chasing after a victory. It's just simpler to do it within a game. And that's simpler as in, you know, the effort was easier, but simpler as that they don't have to confront themselves to actually get ahead in the game. But people do find enjoyment out of being challenged and waking that challenge. That's why Dark Souls is so freaking popular. Is because it challenges the player on a level that they're not comfortable with. They really, really like that. I'm like, you can have that out in reality too, and be making some income and some other good decisions that are going to build your relationships with people, help people out. Maybe if you want to get into philanthropy, you can do things like that too, like Elon Musk. You could be doing some really, really cool stuff out there, and just be making the world a better place. So, going to get to a lot of the events is part of my strategy. Yep. Yeah, go to events, go to all that type of stuff, like communicate with people, talk to people, connect with people. It's wonderful. Actually, Dave, I met you through an event, and God's has been putting us together all the time, and that's been really exciting for me. To even know you, like we met at an event over this game, So there's a difference between like, if I'm going to be doing the things, I need to be doing the things, going to these events or whatever it is. But right now, in terms of budget, in terms of other stuff, it's just like, it's not really my focus. So if I'm not going to be doing that, then I shouldn't be streaming because, no one has anything to really latch on to. Let's see here. Yeah. There's no end point. So I want to go into mobile games eventually, but I want there to be an actual freaking point and an end state to these games, because it's thriving off of the human need for a victory, So it's like, I'm a loser in life, but wow, I'm awesome, And people will be like, so that's why you get these really awkward moments where, you have this guy or gal, whoever, and they're almost destitute, right? And yet they have this pride and this like posture, and the fact that they're really, really good at like WoW or League of Legends or whatever it is, they're really, really awesome at it, and they start communicating with people saying that, like, I'm a rank 38. No, I'm a rank 98. No, this is what they put it to. I'm a ranked 98 level mage in that game. As if the motherfucker you're talking to cares. Like, for real. Like, for real. No one has ever cared about what rank I was within a game, except for other people who played that game. Maybe. But you talk about how awesome that you are in a game, it's not good communication skills either. You gotta actually freaking talk about the other person. People don't care. People's favorite subject is themselves. So you always want to give people the pressure release valve to actually talk to them, for them to be able to talk about themselves. Ask them questions the entire time. What do you do? How do you do this? Okay, how long you been doing that? Okay, that's really cool. Tell me more. And just get them to talk about themselves, because everyone has a story that they want to tell, and they rarely get the chance to do that because no one gives a crap about anybody anymore. So it's a good thing, but you don't want to sit there and talk about yourself the entire time. That's a terrible conversation, because it's not a conversation. It's you expanding your ego all over them, and you don't want to do that. So when it comes to mobile, it's like you're putting your money and your time and your value into something that is going to be vaporware one day. That's the problem that I have with mobile games. So there needs to be some kind of end state to where you can actually get back to your life and live that. Live your life. It's awesome. You can take the same amount of effort and focus and all type of stuff and apply it towards something in real life and get the job done. Like, you can, these are transferable skills that you can do in real life. Like, if you were to, like, for example, if you buy potions in an RPG, and you go out there and make money, you buy potions every single time that you go out into the field and everything, you know, and just keep on buying them little by little, you know, 5 at a time, 3 at a time, whatever it is, you'll have 99 potions, you know what I'm saying, in like 5 minutes almost. You can do that in real life too. Every paycheck that you have, you can go ahead and invest it into a little bit of a mutual fund, or to your savings, or to whatever it may be, you know what I'm saying? And like, then by the time, after some time passes, you know, you'll have a little bit of money. Transferable skills. So, honestly, I don't mind games as a service model. Pro players didn't get paid to do it. And that's the difference between, you know, a pro player and then like somebody who is, you know, living in Van down by the river. If you're a pro player, that's cool. I want you to be a pro player. I want you to make money with it. I want you to, you know, have these transferable skills. But if you're not, you can't sit there and boast about it like people are going to care. That's just not a good look for you. For anybody, for that matter, you know? So, you really want to, yeah, you really want to, like, get into the real world here, you know? The real world's not a place to be nervous about or whatever it is. It's an awesome place. But sometimes what you call the real world is surrounded by dumb people. So you think that the real world is awful and dark and terrible. No, the world you're living in is dark and awful and terrible. And yes, to a certain degree, the world can be absolutely ratchet with horrible, horrible things. Absolutely. This is very true. I am not naive. There are, especially, you know, there are places around the world that are just absolutely horrendous, you know. But at the same time, too, don't be in that environment. Don't be in that environment. Get away from stupid. If you know that your people around you aren't going anywhere and are dumb, and all they do is spit negativity about why you can't do this and why you can't do that, get away from them. Have a self-image here. Get away from them. Even if they're caught up in a bunch of negativity about how they're not going to go forward, and they are spilling all their negativity out on you, and then you start agreeing with them, and you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to get more of what you got. So you need to talk to someone that is, quote-unquote, out of your league, and talk to them to get a different kind of environment that's going to be healthier for you. If you want to be healthy, be around healthy people. If you want to grow squash, grow it amongst other squash, and do it in the right time, the right season, and everything, you know? So, and yes, it is not a simple thing, but sometimes you gotta, like, sometimes you gotta be desperate. No, not sometimes. You gotta be desperate. You gotta really want that, though. Most of the times, people don't, they're not willing to sacrifice what they need to sacrifice in order to get to the next level. And I understand. These are not things I'm trying to say it's easy or anything like that. But sometimes, you know, you gotta sacrifice some pride, some ego. Sometimes you gotta sacrifice some money. Sometimes you gotta sacrifice, you know, a lot of things in order to get to the next stage that you're going to get to, because that's what it takes. You know, a lot of times we don't want to move forward because we don't want to sacrifice anything to move forward. But you totally should move forward. I've had to sacrifice a bunch of stuff, and it stretched me, and it was hard, and it was terrible at some instances. But I'm glad that I did. And it wasn't me that was saying that, you know what I'm saying? It was when I prayed to God, He would tell me to do these things, you know what I'm saying? And He would stretch me so much, you know, and they weren't profitable, and they were just draining in a lot of ways, you know, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, you know? But on the other side of that, I became a different person, and now that I'm a different person, you know, a lot of different things can happen these days, so, this is really, really important to, as the words that the Prophet Snoop Dogg says, you got to pay the cost to be the boss. So, like one of my homeboys, you know, he wanted to do some film stuff, you know, and he saw that his rent was cutting into his budget, so he just lived in his in his vehicle. You know, just lived there. I mean, he was a single guy. He didn't have any type of responsibilities or whatever it is. He just lived there. You know, had a nice little Range Land. It was a Land Rover, so it's pretty spacious and everything. You know, and just slept there. No big deal for him. But that's him pursuing his dream, though. You know, and that is a hard part emotionally, because you know you may be around your friends or your homies for a long time, but if they're just wasting time, and you've got somewhere to go where God's saying to you, this is where you need to go, you gotta go, and it's their choice to omit themselves from your life. If you're like, hey, come with me, I gotta go though, and they're like, nah, I'm good where I'm at, then they've chosen to be where they're at, and they can't blame you or get mad at you for their choice to be left behind, because you all could have gone together to the things that God wanted you to pursue, your purposes, things like that, you know. But if they're good where they're at, they're good where they're at. That doesn't mean it has anything to do with you, though, as an individual. So sometimes you just gotta go, you know. And you know, and I love some people that I know and everything, you know. I love them to death, or to life, but gotta go. And it's not for selfish reasons, for this dream, this thing that God has put in my heart, you know, and he keeps on expanding it, expanding it, expanding it. It's huge now. It's huge. It's billions of dollars now. You know? Saying, well, money doesn't lead to happiness. Well, being broke doesn't lead to happiness either, so I don't know what we're talking about here. How would you know? It's not for me, you know what I'm saying? If a person ever lectures you about, you know, you don't need money, or you don't need this, you know what I'm saying? You know, why would you need that, you know? And that means their imagination is only thinking about themselves, and you better hope that they never get hold of money, because if all they thought about in their imagination was themselves, then that means that they're selfish. I'm not trying to make $1 billion for myself. I'm trying to make $1 billion for, yeah. That's funny. That's a very, very, very obscure reference, and I'm proud of you for that, Dave. But I'm trying to make billions for this thing about media, about putting value into media, rather than, you know, it being this thing that just kind of wastes time. It can be edifying. It can be good. It can be awesome. You know, like you can take things from that and draw it into real life, you know, and like kids shows do that, but a lot of times adult shows don't do that. Adults are just so cynical and awful, and they make these cynical and awful movies and games, and just dark, you know. Like, you feel great when you watch a kids show, but you feel terrible when you watch a lot of stuff that we're watching, you know what I'm saying? Like Daredevil will mess you up, Punisher will mess you up. But they're supposed to be the heroes, right? But yeah, they go through so much Hades. It's like, oh my gosh, this is just depressing to watch. So I don't know, man. There's more to it that we can be adding through media, especially through gaming too. That can be very, very useful and to the body of Christ, especially because, oh my God, not anything that anyone wants to play or watch, like nothing. So unless you're like 10. Or 5 or whatever, you know, like just nothing. It's a freaking wasteland out there. Jeez. Gosh. Anyway, I'm gonna have to hop off of here, man. I am thankful that you have dropped by the times you have. I've been thankful for Scott Jacobson, Raul, Ken, a lot of you guys out there. I've been really, really grateful for you guys stopping by. It makes the stream a lot more fun. Everything is right, dark and gritty. But that's just the Western world, you know. Jeez. Yeah, you're right about that. There's actually color in, you know, in the East. But they base their stuff more on, like, sometimes Buddhist philosophies and Shinto, and, you know what I'm saying? Like Japan's like, folklore is like our Marvel universe or our DC universe. It's Like when, for example, when Sasuke uses, you know, Amaterasu and all that type of stuff, you know, those are all from a folklore of a samurai, I think a warrior who went into hell, and all those references are actually from hell. And like Japan is crazy with folklore, dude. Like just type in a name and like there's the original folklore of it, and then, you know, people who make an anime from it and take from that. But it's just a literal DC Marvel universe of folklore out there, and it's crazy. And all the movies and games and stuff like that that they make is based off of all that folklore that they have in their nation. So really, you know, in a lot of ways, yeah, same thing. Dragon Ball, Journey to the East. Same thing in China. There's all kinds of stuff out there. This is the most, like, what seems so odd to us is based off of something from their folklore. You know, that's all that it is. So, so yeah, that's why it's not really strange to them. It'd be like the equivalent of if you made an IP based off of, you know, another superhero or whatever it is. You know, like that's, you know, to Japan it might look kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? But it's normal to us. So I want to do the same thing, but with, you know, Christianity. And not just make, you know, and not just make it like a folklore kind of fun thing, but I want to put the reality of the gospel and the power of God and the supernatural and all type of things inside the gaming itself. You know, inside the media itself. You know, that's what I want. That's what I'm going to do. That's why I need billions to do that. You know what I'm saying? To not make this some kind of small little operation. I want to make this a massive operation. I want it to be basically like Kingdom Disneyland. You know, just in terms of the scale and scope of it. So these things stretch me. So therefore, but I gotta go. Gotta go. Leave your father's house. You know. Yeah, and I like El Shaddai in some ways, and I don't like. I haven't played Lost Child, but I don't like it because it treats it just as only folklore, you know. And it always misrepresents God to where, you know, well, he's not completely good. You know what I'm saying? It's all ambiguity with God and who he is, and no one ever. That's the part that gets me aggravated, is that they treat it like folklore, and Satan's always like somewhat the good guy in this stuff. God's always a bad guy, Satan's always a good guy. It makes me sick. You know? Just ridiculous. Well, Satan gives knowledge. Satan's a murderer. The reason why your friend died is because of him. It wasn't God or his will or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? He said, my will is that you have life and life more abundantly. So what are we talking about? The only one who's described as a killer is going to be, you know, him. Now God's a judge in the Old Testament, you know what I'm saying? There was a pact that was made to where he was dishing out judgment because they turned God into a judge. When they're out on Mount Sinai, that was the opportunity for them to have a relationship with God. What they did is that they wanted Moses to go up there, get the laws, the things they should and should not do, and they turned God essentially into a judge. So therefore, if you violate those laws, then it's on. So, you know, like, don't get mad at God, is what they wanted. They wanted a judge. They just wanted someone to follow the rules, and that was another way for them to get puffed up, which is why Jesus had a problem with the Pharisees. So, because we follow these laws, and we made 612 more on top of the law, the original 10 commandments. So, they added 612 more laws in order to, again, be like, look how perfect we are. This is why the rich young ruler was so puffed up when he came around. He followed the law. He was a good Jewish kid. All those things. And Jesus said to him, "Oh, okay, sell all that you have and give it all to the poor and follow me." He didn't know the value of who God actually was. He knew the value of what he had in the law. That's why he went away sad, because he wasn't willing to give up those things. Why? Because it was attached to his ego. So there wasn't the money, because in the next chapter, I think in Matthew, it talks about how there was another rich guy, and he was willing to let go of his riches. So it wasn't the riches; it was about the ego around the things that you possess. Even if it is things like, I'm a nice law-abiding citizen, that doesn't mean anything in your heart. The BTK killer was a sheriff in his town, went to church, all those things. And he was a serial killer. It had nothing to do with what was actually in his heart. And that's what Jesus wants. He wants your heart. Proverbs 16:2, the ways of a man seem right to him, but it is God who weighs the motives. I love that. That kills everything else in the entire, all the little schemes and all the little things that you want to do. The ways of a man seem right to him, but it is God who weighs the motives. Beautiful. You're going to be exposed. You know? You're going to be exposed. So, saying all that is that, why would you trust that guy? He's the guy that murders, and he's awful. The reason why you like all this death, and that's all his thing. The reason why you believe that you're not squat is because of him. The reason why people are, are killing themselves is because of him. Because he whispers into their head, into their heart all the time that you suck, that you're no good, and God's word didn't say nothing about that. Wonderfully and fearfully made. That you are, what is it to gain the entire world but lose your soul? Your soul being your mind, your will, and your emotions. You know what I'm saying? God puts value on you. You're so valuable that he sent his only son, begotten son, in order to save you. Knowing how you do and how you are, there's value in you. God never said anything about you not having value. He gets so mad to the point where people who do devalue you, he judges those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got a problem with that. He's like, no. If you make one of these, Jesus said, if you make one of these little ones stumble, then basically all my wrath is coming upon you. You don't do that. There's value in you. God never said it wasn't value in you, explicitly or implicitly. Satan's the one that's saying that type of garbage to you all the time. And none of those things are true, by the way. None of them. None of those things are true. You know? So, this is the kind of stuff when, when people talk about, taking like a Christian folklore, and then muddying everything up, well, the angels are the real the bad guys, and demons are really, no, they're not. The demons are the ones who are agreeing with your own destruction, and most of y'all don't even know it. If your God does not piss you off and hold you accountable and frustrate you, you ain't following God. You're either following your own ego, who agrees with everything, or you're following a demon who is also wanting you to agree with everything that you have so that you never get ahead. Because demons like to fatten you up and then they'll kill you. That's what they do. Oh, you don't have to confront that. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. As a matter of fact, enjoy yourself. Enjoy more of the flesh. It just feels good to you. And then all of a sudden you look up and you're in a living hell and you don't know how that happened. If your God is not pushing against you, you don't have one. That means there's even an external voice saying something good about you that challenges the way that you think. If it ain't good, it ain't God. But that's hard to know when you don't have a true north, so therefore what is good, what is up, what is down, you know what I'm saying? These are all things you have to figure out on your own. But you gotta pray. You gotta pray to God, be like, wherever you are, if you're a true God, if there's something good that's out there, you know what I'm saying, I need you to find me. In the Arabic world, one of the ways that people actually encounter Jesus Christ is through dreams, actually. They say that, God, I want to know the real God. Who are you? And they have a dream, and Jesus will be in the dream, and they actually give themselves to Christ. It's one of the actually number one ways that they're actually, I think, Muslim conversions is through dreams of Jesus. The Quran teaches about Jesus, yes. Teach about him being the guy who's going to come down when they're, let's see here, what is he called? Basically, when Muhammad comes back, Jesus will tell them how basically rotten and awful that they've been in terms of, you know, that not believing the Reha, I forgot what it's called. But Jesus is a prophet within that world as well, but he's not God. We'll put it that way. He's a prophet, but not God. So they be asking about him sometimes. Jesus be letting them know, which is really, really cool, right? So, you know, I'm not trying to make Christian folklore games. I'm trying to make Christian games. And when I say Christian games, I personally believe that it has to have a supernatural involvement in with it. Whether it be in the Word, supernatural revelation of God, or it is created by Rhema words, where I mean God-inspired words and directions is created from the ground up through that process. And so the supernatural can actually happen in that process. People can be set free in that process. People can play your game and be healed in that process. People can play your game and be delivered in that process. You know? So that's really that's what I consider to be a Christian game. Because if you just base it on principle, then the atheists are right. Because if you believe that there's no more supernatural, that the gifts have ceased and everything, you know, then the atheists are right. That means that, yes, you can absolutely take the good principles and leave out all the hocus pocus. Because if it doesn't happen anymore, what's the point of believing in the hocus pocus? Right? If God has stopped doing miracles and and he just has hung up his job and it's all based on what you read now, okay, take out the hocus pocus and go ahead and, you know, go on, live on the principles. What's the difference? They're right. They're right. Like, I agree with most atheists about most things. How can you say that God has impacted your life if you freaking act just like I do, or you get the same kind of you're just as messed up as I am, or I live a better moral life than you do? How can you say that if you had an encounter with God? How can you not even try? How are you not trying and yet you're saying that you know God? What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? But if he's still God and still doing the things and still being amazing, then if you say you're a Christian, you know what I'm saying? Christ-like, which includes the supernatural. It includes you knowing the Word because he was the Word, and displaying it, having experiential knowledge of it, and displaying it with power as well. Don't let your ego, your spiritual ego, sit there and say, you know what I'm saying, well, the gifts have ceased. Why? Because I haven't done it yet. What? Neither did I. I used to believe that the gifts have ceased. Then, you know, someone taught me how to actually tap into God and do that. One of my ministries is based completely about that. Prophetic art. You know what I'm saying? McKee, he will testify about that. So... yeah, the guy listening writing the lyrics, yeah, he'll let you know. I don't know that stuff. I don't know none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I know what God has and what God wants, but other than that, though, I don't know. I don't know nothing about you. So I don't think that a Christian game has actually been made, except for like maybe the kids games, because it contains the Word within it. But I don't know what a true reflection of this is a Christ-like game. Like, if Jesus made a game, what would it look like? That's the question. That's what I'm trying to bring in for billions. So if you gotta go to a bigger goal, go. I think the world's counting on everybody. I'm counting on you to get past that stuff. So I have gone on for another almost 20 minutes when I needed to go a long time ago. Jeez. This stuff gets me fired up, man. It really, really does. That's what I need to be live streaming. I'm gonna be live streaming something, you know. Anyway, or just making videos about stuff like that, because I do want to make a series about stuff like this. Yes, an interactive parable. Interactive parable with supernatural attached to it, to bring salt and light to the world. in whatever ways that God wants to have happen. But like, really, God? It's like, okay, I'll put it in there though. It's like, really, that'll make any sense. But you're smarter than I am, so let's go ahead and put it in there. Black Simulator has 5 scriptures in it. And I don't know why they chose those scriptures. I have no idea why. But it's in there, and it's not ham-fisted in there. It is in proportion to what's in the game, which is you have a pastor and he does pastor things, you know. But you can take a look at his notes and you'll see what's in there, as a pastor probably will do for a sermon, for Sunday sermon. So it's not anything in there, like, but it's in there, you know. So anyway, yeah, I'll make more videos, but I'm gonna hit you guys up in the remix. Actually, maybe I won't. I'll go ahead and jump off of here. Thank you guys so much for watching all this time. I appreciate you guys very much. But this is going to be the last live stream until further notice. And love you all very, very much. And Dave, I'll see you in the remix in life. And that will be that, good sirs and madams. So love you guys very much. You support me on the Patreon, on all that jazz. And I will see you guys later. We just have to make time for actually do it. My schedule was changed to where I'm going to be available more in the evenings now, so that can happen a little bit better then. And because I'm starting another endeavor, I'm independently contracting with some newspaper, and I can make some pretty decent money from that. So I'll be pouring a lot more assets into that. Yeah, just in general, it's gonna be really, really good. It's gonna be really, really good. Very, very good. I'm excited about it. Anyway, guys, love you guys very much, and I'll see you when I see you, soldiers. Carry on. Take care. Bye bye.